you know goldenrod makes an excellent tea?
Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear Aaron.
You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tomic's veteran of the comic book industry for 30 years. I'm a writer, I'm an artist, and this sucks.
Tonight's episode, Killer Without a Name.
Don't start! We haven't left yet!
She cooks nothing but chuck wagons, stew, and her name is Minerva. Ouch. She's the flower of the devoured coach.
Yo, welcome everybody. It is time once again for Aaron Live. I gotta tell you, it's a little out of sorts tonight, doing it late after I just got back from Comic Book Con, the comic book convention. Rose City Comic Con. Shelley from off camera is yelling. So I think I should be rewarded for doing the show despite having been at a con for 3 straight days. And but here I am. And what I realized was I didn't do it last week because John Malin was closing out Godlike, and I didn't want to stream against him. I thought that would be send the wrong message, be inappropriate, not considerate, not supportive. So I didn't do it. And then this week I was like, well, I can't go 2 weeks in a row without Aaron Live. What are you guys going to do? So I decided to do it late. And if my usual crowd isn't here because it's too late, you guys can always check me out in reruns, which you might be doing right this second. So thanks for joining me. Shelley will not be on camera. She's having some back problems. She laughs as being an understatement. Quite a bit of lower back pain. She has a couple of bulging discs back there and a few other things going on that aren't good.
What do they call it? The disc vacuum phenomenon.
Yeah.
New stuff.
If you got a phenomenon happening, it's probably not a good thing. So anyway, we're trying to manage her pain, and
Doing a crappy job of
did
it.
you just throw something at me?
Me? No.
Something just felt like it. I hope some bug or something just didn't drop on me. I just felt like something hit my arm. Anyway, you're on camera.
So
You're on camera.
this is how I walk now. Because if I stand up straight, I hit the floor.
See, this is
welcome to my walk.
Shelley is addicted to celebrity, that she will even come on in severe pain and
actually, I'm going to bed.
Not
now.
at her best, but here she is. But she wanted to say hi to you guys.
Love ya.
And she's motoring off to not motoring may not be the right word.
Motoring.
Sort of crawling her way.
Yep.
To lay down. So anyway,
Good night, all.
there you have it. Shelley made the appearance, despite what a special show. I come on late, exhausted from a grueling con. Shelley crawls in to say hello to you guys with her back problems. it's just a special night. So anyway, oh look, I got my Dale Keown werewolf shirt on. I'm representing because when I go to a show, that's when I wear these. I don't want to wear them all the time because I don't want them continually washing them and have the image, fade. Even though these are extremely high quality, I think they'll last a lot longer than most T-shirts will in terms of the image. But I still, I pick and choose my spots. So anyway, welcome everybody. It's Aaron Live. We got new stuff. We've got a couple of, well, we got one new feature anyway. I've got tremendous cryptid videos. Just exciting stuff, and I'm glad that those of you who are able to join me this late at night have joined me. And again, welcome those who are watching in reruns. Anyway, let's go. Let's see who's actually here live. Heat Miser looks like he was the first one in the door. You get nothing for that, but we do appreciate your attendance. Heat Miser says, looking forward to your review of Creature from the Black Lagoon. Yes, well, we'll be doing that as well. Caleb Reynolds is here. Hi, chat. Hi, Aaron. Hey, Caleb. Thanks for joining us. The Green Laser. Daniel Russell. Aaron Louviere is here. The green. Oh, we already said the Green Laser, but I'll say it again. The Green Laser. Squibs shouting out Aaron. I went up to check in to get my badge at this con, and she goes, "What's your name?" And I said, "Aaron LaPresti." She goes, Aaron. And I went, "Yeah, okay." You know how many times I've heard that? But anyway, so I thought for a second, does she watch the YouTube channel? But I thought, no, she's just making fun of me because of the comedy bit. And she was indeed making fun of me because of the comedy bit. But anyway, Jughead Grayson is here. Marcus Killigrew, of course, the purveyor of all things pop culture. Jiminy Cricket, wow. Haven't heard from Jiminy in a while, but he's here. He's celebrating Barnaby Jones. He's claiming that the intro that I used would be from a television show called Barnaby Jones from the 70s. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, let's see. Quoth Raven, Lewis Bright Raven is here. I just flew in from Rose City Con, and boy, is my shoulder killing me. That may be a joke, but my shoulder actually is killing me. But that's another story. Yes, it's a Green Laser. Aaron, I don't want to alarm you, but a werewolf is bursting out of your chest. It's kind of like if Alien was a werewolf movie. Andre Lima is here. Hyper Potato. Atari Force fandom needs a regular dose of Aaron Live. This is what Atari fandom needs. So there you go. First cannonball right out of the gate. Slacker 23 says it's 7:40. Lopez, go to bed. I almost did when I came home. I can tell you I'm tired. I am here though for you guys. So let's see. Daniel Russell says Fireball for the pain. Andre says say hello to Brazil. Hello, Brazil. Hello, Brazil. I almost went there once for a show, but I didn't. Great story, huh? Let's see. Is Aaron blowing up her back? No, I'm not. Don't say things like that. Old Dirty Fatty says, hugs to Shelly. God bless Shelly, says Jiminy Cricket. Hyper Potato, Shelly's in pain. Shelly in pain is still a superstar. Indeed. Just Kevin Ryan's here. He says, I'm in 2 streams, but wanted to show up and show support. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. And whoever else you're watching, I'm sure appreciates it too. I checked to see if Ethan was streaming and he wasn't. So I don't know, maybe one of the other guys is streaming right now and I didn't know it, but that's life. This life on the internet. You're always streaming against somebody, even when you're trying not to. Dale A is here. All the best, Mrs. Lopresti. Thank you so much, Dale. Eric DeGuapo is here. It's good to see Aaron putting meat on those bones. You've been looking twiggly the last few months. Yeah, well, I'm going back on a diet again because I've been putting too much meat on my bones. Scott Ruplin, or Ruplin. Is it Ruplin, Scott? I'm sorry. I think it's Ruplin. He came and saw me at the show. And, he's the proud owner of the original art to the very first Kit Carter piece I ever did. Ever. He owns it. So There you go. Phil Diaz is here. Aaron, did you get my Twitter message? No. There's that. Things are crawling in my mouth. Aaron, did you get? No, I haven't looked yet, Phil. I have not. I've been to the convention all weekend and I have not checked anything, but I will. I will check. Let's see. Citizen Ronan, there he is. Oh, Ethan is streaming now. Jeez. Well, he wasn't when I scheduled this. That's lousy. Speaking of Ethan, I got my Cyberfrog action figure showed up over the weekend, and I have not opened them yet because I want to do an unboxing video, which I'm going to do probably tomorrow. But I did get them, so I'm kind of excited. And let's see. Zaid Comics says, check it right now. It's for your show. Like I feel like I got nothing better to do right now than to check my Twitter. Okay. I'm imagining it must have something to do with Bigfoot, but let's see. There he is. Boy, what a great guess by me. There's Holder 6480. Michael Roney, good to see you. I just got a Facebook reminder that had a sketch you did for me at Things from Another World about 4 years ago. Great memory. Well, thank you, Michael. If you're one of my store signings, you're probably the only one there, so I had plenty of time to do a sketch for you. Karan Zenith is here. Hey, everyone. Hey, Karan, thanks for joining us all the way from Australia. Marcus says it's 10:47 where he's at. Well, that would mean you're on the East Coast someplace. Everybody's on the East Coast except me. I kind of feeling left out. So anyway, that light's a little hot, isn't it? I'm glowing a bit. That's the wrong way. Let's douse that just a bit. I don't know that it helped. Is that? Maybe that's it. There. Okay, a little softer. Make me look a little better for the camera. So I did the show, and the Portland show has turned into a huge show. I mean, there's a ton of people. Still not a great money show. A lot of people looking. I did all right though. I did fine. It was worth going. But I got to talk to Ron Garney, talk to Arthur Adams, talk to Simon Bisley. So I kind of felt like an important person because I was like, I'm talking to all these superstars and they all know who I am. Yeah, they did. And in fact, Arthur Adams came up and started talking to me. So what do you think of that? And Bisley knew who I was immediately, although he's like the Marlon Brando of British comic book artists. He kind of mumbles a little bit, slurs his words together, and he has such a heavy British accent. It's really hard to understand what he's saying a lot of the times. But so I catch a few here and there, and I kind of figure out the conversation we're having. But Jiminy wants to know, well, did you owe Art Adams money? That's why. No, I do not owe him any money. So he remembered me just out of the kindness of his heart, apparently. So. And Citizen Ronan says, "Don't get cocky, kid." Yeah, I know. As soon as I start talking about people remembering me, everybody will forget me again. But anyway, it was a pretty good show. I did one. I only did 2 commissions, which is really weird. I mean, I used to get tons of commission requests. I don't get them anymore at shows. I wonder if it's just because I've been out of the mainstream for 3 years now, and so I'm just not really working on anything that other than my own stuff. And if your average comic book reader is not going to be aware of it because they're not in the comic shops. But so that might have something to do with it. I don't know. But I did hopefully make quite a few new fans or followers because I sold a good number of Wraith of God #1, the second printing, at this show. So all obviously to mostly new readers. So that's exciting. Anyway, enough about me, and let's talk some more about me. So let's do a quick public service announcement if you don't mind, because I've got nothing better to do. And apparently you don't either, or you wouldn't be here. So here we go. There it is, timed perfectly. Yeah, hit that like and subscribe if you wouldn't mind, if you haven't already done it. I'm sure there's only a few people here right now, about 36, 40 people watching at the moment, as Ethan is stealing my thunder as always. But if you're watching this in reruns, please do me the kind favor of hitting like and subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel to epic proportions, and I can't do it without your help. So appreciate that very much. So I did pick up something. Okay, so at the show they had, which I always think is a brilliant idea, always have like some sort of specialty food item on the floor, like a booth, so that we can go and, we don't have to wait in line for the crappy convention food, this overly priced convention food. And they had people there that were, I know I'm going to regret even saying this, but there's people selling fudge in a booth, but all kinds of different kinds. Like they had Snickers, they had like a chocolate peanut butter, they had regular chocolate, they had just different kinds. It was really cool. So I had some of that. And there was somebody selling a licorice, but they had like different flavors, like wild cherry. I mean, just really cool, nice, big, thick licorice ropes of multitude of different flavors. Not the standard, not Twix. What do you call it? What's the Twizzlers? And certainly no black licorice that I could see. But today I brought my own lunch because I didn't want to pay the exorbitant prices. And so I made my own lunch, brought it with me, but I was feeling like, I need a little something sweet, a little something to kind of top my lunch off. So I searched around for something that was cheap, but might be a good value. And I found this, but we'll show you in just a second because I got to run the crazy intro.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
I got the, look at that name brand caramel. They don't even put caramel corn on it. They just put caramel. But I got this whole bag and it was like this full. So I eat a little bit of it, obviously. But for $4.50. And you get that in it. I was expecting it to be like $10 or $15 or something. It was $4.50. I'm like, $4.50, give me a bag. So here I am. That's my snack for tonight. A little caramel corn. I mean, I like popcorn. Most people do. But you hook me up with caramel corn, and we're there. No, I won't be too disgusting and just start like eating handful of it. We'll put the bag over here for right now. Keep it safe. Well, that's my snack. All right. So now, as you guys know, we did 100 episodes of Wrightson of the Day, the Wrightson image of the day. And I thought, I could show every page from the Frankenstein book, but pretty much everybody's seen it. So I kind of like to try to find things from Wrightson that maybe you haven't seen. And so I thought when we get to 100 images, I mean, it's time to shift gears and let's take a look at another artist. So now we're now doing Frazetta images of the day. And and Marcus Killigrew caught me on the first episode of Frazetta Images of the Day. I was playing the Wrightson music to it. He's like, dude, you need some new music for Frazetta. And I'm like, of course we do. So anyway, I've got some new music for Frazetta, and it's just as bad as the Wrightson music. So, because I can only use the free stuff. And there's a reason why it's free. So anyway, let's take a look at our Frazetta, I almost said Wrightson, our Frazetta image of the day. cartoon, though, isn't it? Okay, if you remember, the very first Frazetta image of the day was when Gary was guest on the show, and that was 2 weeks ago because we didn't stream last week. And I showed one panel from this comic strip that Frazetta did, this proposed comic strip called Nina. And I thought, you know what, I need to show the whole thing. So that's what we just did. We saw the whole thing. So you might have recognized the one panel in there that I showed last week. But what tremendous work, what tremendous pen and ink line work by Frazetta. And of course, this comic strip got turned down. And it may very well be that he just kind of showed the art and expected him to take it. And maybe his story wasn't as developed as someone would have liked, or the genre, whatever it ended up being. I, of course, speculated, if you recall, that this plane crash landed on this mysterious island, and this girl, the only one survivor, Nina, gets out, finds this crevice in the rock there and goes into it, and there's a prehistoric world on the other side, and she becomes this cave girl. I bet money that's what it was about. But I don't know. If I was a syndicate, I would have bought it. But, you know, back in the 50s, comic strips were king. And so they had their pickings of whatever they wanted to do. And it could be very, very particular. And so, you know, who knows? But it would have been glorious to look at, that's for sure. And who knows if Frazetta had gotten that strip and done that, because that's where the money was in those days. He may never have got into painting some of the famous book covers that we saw, and his career might have taken a totally different path. So, you know, who knows? Hey, there's Paul Brillart. Paul was at the show on Friday. Looks like he's back home again. I showed Brian Stelfreeze and David Williams' H.P. Lovecraft watercolor. Cool. Yeah, he had that in his portfolio that he got off the Greybeards. Well, actually, he didn't get it off the auction. I think he contacted David privately about that. Yeah, Western riding into the sunset music, which I thought was kind of appropriate for Frazetta. Mark is saying, hey, the music isn't bad. Well, free is never bad, okay? Or at least completely. Gary Martin just recreated the strip, did he? Or are you making a joke? Either could be true. Caleb Reynolds says, funny. He goes, I just got the same snacks. Apparently he means the same snacks as I got. Dale, of course, trying to cheer me up with diabetes. Of course, thank you so much. Paul says, I didn't bring you turtles as I thought you were on a health kick. Yeah, well, I guess it starts tomorrow again. Gluttony is a sin, Aaron. Eating caramel popcorn is not gluttony. Jeez. Of course, you know, I did admit to eating fudge at the con as well. So, and a couple of cookies. Some guy brought me some cookies. So it's just, I got a sugar problem. But I really, tomorrow it's starting for sure. Brian, suddenly old, could not make it to Rose City Comic Con. He was waiting on some PC parts. Sometimes that just happens. No hard feelings, Brian. Susan Rowan says, it's amazing to think Frazetta only started to seriously paint because Roy Krinkle told him it was better money. Well, you know, back in the day of commercial art, that's kind of was the driving force. He's like, where's the money at? Yeah, it's amazing that he created the art that he did that we so cherish today. Any chance of Gary being your Ed McMahon at the booth next year? Seems unlikely. Bretsky the Great. Salute to chat. Salute, Aaron. Thanks for streaming. Hey, thank you for watching. Because if you guys weren't watching, I wouldn't be streaming. Okay. So I do have like a full load, like a full show for you guys today. So I'm not going to fool around. We're going to get right to it. Let's see. Oh, let's do this. That intro is not long enough. I say it every time, and yet I refuse to fix it because I want to complain about it. That's what old people do. Okay, so let's take a look. We're in the S's now, and this is going to be stretched out over 2, possibly 3, possibly 4 episodes before we get through all the S's. There's a lot of S's. And of course, my camera's not plugged in. That's such a Aaron was at a con all weekend kind of move. All right, now it's plugged in, so let's try it again. Okay, there. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. Now, let's say we're in the S's. We're going to start in the 70s. All right, look at this. This is the Sandman, but this is not the Sandman that we know from Vertigo. This is Kirby's Sandman. Like he created, like at the same time he created New Gods, Forever People, The Demon. God, what else was he doing? He also did the Sandman, was one of the characters. Omac. All these guys were all. I don't know how in the world the guy would be doing that many titles at once, but he was. And there it is, the Sandman. Come see what weirdies I've dreamed up for you. That's kind of some of, I think, his adopted hippie talk. You know, this would have been like 71 or 72. Ooh, it's a Simon and Kirby special. So you got old his buddy Joe Simon in there to work with him again. Anyway, this is like 9/6 or something, but you know. Okay, Savage She-Hulk. I knew when they announced the television show this was probably going to start to take off, so I grabbed one in very high grade before the show took off, and of course the show actually never did take off, but at least it did premiere. And this has got some great artwork by Big John Buscema in there. And as we see, Stanley proudly presents the She-Hulk Lives. So she's got a groovy, she looks like she should be part of the Scooby-Doo crew here with that groovy ascot and everything and her bell bottoms. But she's a really the She-Hulk if you piss her off. And of course it's a collector's item, so you know you had to pick that up. I never picked this up when it came out on the newsstands, mainly because I didn't buy a lot of chick books when I was a teenager, or young, I should say younger than preteen. I was more fascinated with the, you know, superheroes and such. But anyway, it's a nice book. I don't know what that, I think it's like 60, 80 bucks or something like that now. So, you know. All right, how about this gem? Now, this is a tragic story right here. This is like the second, this does not predate Avengers 4, but I think it's the second appearance of Cap or something like that in the Silver Age, although I believe it's a Golden Age story, not a reprint, but it takes place during World War II. But it's his first crossover, and so it's a significant issue. Now, here's the problem. I bought this on eBay years ago, and they said it was in near mint condition. As you look at it, it pretty much is. You know, you could argue there's a little blunting on the corners, you know, so it doesn't have really sharp corners, but it's just in beautiful shape, right? So like a dummy, I bought this and I never checked the back, right? So I brought this with me. I was working on a trade for a Golden Age Captain America book several years ago, and I brought this as part of the trade deal. And the guy flipped it over and looked at it, and there is a freaking crease, diagonal crease like this across the back of the cover, which drops it from a 9.2 to a like 6.5, maybe a 7. So as you can imagine, I'm kind of pissed about that. But as long as you don't turn the book over, it looks fantastic. All right. Okay, here we go. This is the Shadow. Now, Bernie Wrightson was originally going to draw this, and for some reason did not. I can't remember what it was, but Cluta took the book over and did a heck of a job. And ironically, Wrightson then came in and helped Cluta out on several issues because Cluta apparently got behind. But this is a great cover right here, boy. That is really, really cool. So again, another first DC issue. This is 1972, I believe. And so yeah, it was about the time Wrightson was finishing up Swamp Thing. This came out. So it might be 73. I'm not going to open it up to find out. But it's a gem mint condition, as they say, probably a 9.6 or so. Now again, this is not my entire collection. This is the highlights from the S's. Now this, that got trimmed badly right here. I cut off the first brand new issue. This was kind of a big deal when it happened. This was 71, I believe, or 19. It might have even been 1970, just when they switched from 15 to 20 cents. No, it would have been 71. C.C. Beck returns to draw Captain Marvel. So it was supposed to be a big, big deal. And it was kind of a hot book for a while when it came out in the collector market, but then it died really quickly. And now, just because of the fact that it's so freaking old, you know, it's now worth some money again. And I remember I was at a Seattle show when I got this, maybe 15 years ago. And I can't remember what the guy was asking. Might have been 20 years ago. But anyway, I don't remember what the guy was asking. But I offered him, like, he might have been asking $40, and I think I offered him 20. And he goes, and it was Sunday, and it was late. It was like 30 minutes before the show closed. And anyway, I offered him $20 less than what he was asking, whatever it was. And he's like, "Oh, I could sell it to you for that. You know, this is a hot book right now." And I said, "Look, it's also 30 minutes till closing, and you're going to take this book home with you. So do you want my money, or do you want to take the book home with you?" He took my money. So anyway, that's how I got a good deal on this. But this is over $100 now. So look at this nice Steranko cover. I'm showing you Shanna 2 instead of Shanna 1, which I also have because it has this great Steranko cover on it. So you got Jim Steranko. He went to Marvel and did a bunch of covers right in this time period. So you'll find his covers on a lot of books. A lot of times the obscure ones like this, or Doc Savage, he did a couple covers. Like Tex Ritter, Gunslinger. Just, you know, some bizarre, strange books like that he did covers for. And this is one of them. The Dungeon of Doom. Well, you know, if you're a hot chick and there's a bunch of those hyenas, they're hyenas, but they're like, they got leopard spots. Do hyenas have leopard spots? Maybe they do. I'm gonna have to go back and watch Lion King again. But anyway, so there's that. And then speaking of Steranko, there's Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. #1. I traded for this just like 30 years ago, probably. And it's not in the greatest shape. You can see that it's got some ticks along. Well, maybe you can, maybe you can't. See, there's ticks along the spine here. I mean, it's probably the corners are great. Well, there's a little chip right there. Actually, that's a scuff, not a chip. You got a little ding there, a little ding there. This is probably a 6. This was before I became like a near mint alcoholic, or a near mintaholic. I guess you wouldn't be a near mint alcoholic; you'd be near mintaholic. So this is actually one of the lesser grade books that I actually own. I wanted to show this one. This is like my favorite cover, one of my favorite all-time covers, but certainly my favorite cover from the Nick Fury run. This is issue number 6. This is the last cover he did, but he didn't do the interiors. He did issues 1 through 5 and covers 1 through 6, but he didn't do the interiors here, even though it's a killer cover. As apparently the Earth is exploding, so I don't know where Nick's going to go after that. How about this gem from like 1965, 1966, maybe? This is the first Silver Age appearance of the Spectre. That's showcase number 60. Murphy Anderson did the art here. I think this is a 9.0. I don't know. It's probably closer to an 8 or a 7.5, but you know. I'm a big Spectre fan, so that's cool to have. And then, of course, we'll end this segment on the first appearance of the Creeper. This is showcase number 73. There's Ditko's first appearance of the Creeper. Again, not super high grade is probably a 6.5, maybe a 7 if I'm lucky. Probably not. There's a lot of scuffing on the spine. I think I got this for $20 or something years ago at San Diego. So again, I was more into, if it's in nice shape, I'll take it instead of being such a stickler for grading that I am now. This is completely unacceptable. I'd never buy this book in this condition. I'd have to find a 9.2. But anyway, there it is. First appearance of the Creeper Showcase number 73. And that ends our comic show for this portion of the show. Oh, look at all this. I got measurements. I got notes. There's notes right here. This is a Wraith of God note on page 12. It says, change vestige to guise. Because I was misusing the word vestige. And I was like, if anybody takes me to task on that, I'm going to look like a fool. So I took vestige out and turned it to guise, which is actually really what I wanted to use, but vestige sound cooler. And then I realized didn't mean what I thought it meant. So I had to change it. Look at the font. Look at the stuff that just reveals itself in the background when you're not even really paying attention. Okay. Ooh, Corin Zenith for $10 Australian. Thank you so much, Corin. I appreciate it. Hey, Aaron, do you have any Planet Hulk art you could share with us? Yeah, I do. I'm not going to share with it tonight though, because I have to go dig it out. But maybe we'll do that next week. I'll share some because I have on several occasions shared the keeper pages that I've kept from Planet Hulk. A couple of splash pages, some panel pages. In fact, I think I did it probably just a month ago on this very show. Ming in the upper right. Yeah, he's talking about the butcher paper. Yeah, right above Kit's head. Yep, you caught him. John Porton says, thank you for all you do, Mr. Lopresti. We appreciate it a great deal. Well, thank you, John. I appreciate you saying that. The Creeper looks like he's ready to read at the library. Pretty exciting stuff. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Paul making the observation that Nick Fury's 6 cover feels very much like a Frazetta cover. He said Franzetta, but I think you meant Frazetta. Marcus Killigrew, of course, knows all, says Ross Andrew and Vince Coletta drew the insides of that shield, number 6. I didn't know that. Probably because I never cracked it open. If Stranko's not in there, I'm like, eh. Let's see here. Marcus Killigrew confirming that, yes, Shazam number 1 was supposed to be huge. And it really wasn't. But you never know. European lore says, some people talk art, some people are talking senseless drama. Hail Aaron. Well, I never talk senseless drama because I don't know anything about it. I may talk senseless, but it's usually not about drama. Let's see. GJ Martinez says, I feel right at home while watching Aaron live. And thank you. It's like a fireside chat almost, really, right? Brian. Now, see, Brian was going to come and say, hey, at the Rose City Comic Con. He didn't do it. So he feels guilty enough to insult me now. He says, late. It's only 8 p.m. Aaron hasn't even had his Metamucil yet. Oh, Brian. You get a cannonball to the gut, you don't need Metamucil. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Anyway, enough of this foolishness. Oh, we say not the Shield, the Shanna book. Oh, okay, that was Ross Andrew. Okay, that makes sense. Jeff Potts says you can always show the Thing drawing. I sold that already. I sold it at the show, but I did a new Thing drawing because you can't draw the Thing enough. But I'll save that for later. Did I chat with Renee? No, I never got down there. Leaving my table seems like so much effort sometimes. Ooh, Bill Glasby says, finally got Sludge number 1 from Malibu. It's great. Well, thank you, Billy. I'm glad you like it. Unfortunately, once you get to the end of the series, you'll never see any more Sludge, but that's why you read Garbage Man. because it's very similar to sludge. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here for $2. Thank you so much. Looks like a fun con, Aaron. Yeah, I mean, my gosh, the lineup was incredible. Yeah, Adam Hughes was there. Chris Warner behind a table. I haven't seen that in ages. Like I said, Arthur Adams, Ron Garney, Phil Jimenez was there. I was there. Let me see. I was there. Simon Bisley was there. I of course was there. There was a ton, like writers and artists, and just, I mean, it was crazy. And I saw a few of them. Like I said, I talked to Kevin McGuire at length, asking him when is he going to publish his Tonga book, which was one of the features that was in Weird Worlds and My Greatest Adventure miniseries, along with Garbage Man for DC back a decade or more ago, because he got his rights back as well, but he hasn't published them yet. But he says he's setting up to do a crowdfund Kickstarter or something with it. So actually looking forward to that. It was actually pretty good. Alien Chick kind of thing. Hyper Potato. Chris Warner was there and you didn't pick me up a Black Cross sketch. I find it highly unlikely that Chris would have been sketching. Let's see here. Oh, David Mack was there. How about that? Ron Randall remembers you fondly from of course. We have fond memories of those days before the crumbling of the studio. But most of us, actually all of us, are still. We're all good. We're all good. A Leg Kick is trying to make a joke. You or Adam Hughes? I'm not. Yeah. Let's see. Marcus Kilger says he met Ron Garney at HeroesCon. Nice guy. Yeah, of course, Ron kind of jumped ship at Marvel and went to do Berserker, and so I'm not sure what he's doing. I asked him, and now I can't remember what he said. That there might be another Berserker thing coming up, so we shall see. SGW. Sorry. JW says, do you scan double page spreads done on 11 by 17 boards separately and put them together digitally? That is exactly what I do. And what about artists that work on much larger formats like 40 by 60? How are they scanning the artwork? Well, they're either scanning it in pieces on their scanners, or they're taking it to a print shop or someplace that would have a large format, probably a drum scanner, to scan something that large. So that's the problem. I don't know. I should ask Frank Cho, because he does twice up all the time, and I know he's not scanning that stuff at home. Because I don't think you can get a flatbed scanner bigger than, basically mine is like 12 by 18. I think that's about as big as they come. And then you're talking about, some industrial size scanner at that point, I believe. But I don't really keep up on that stuff until I find that I need it. Then I'll look up and get that information. But I don't know for certain. But my guess is they're having to take it someplace to get scanned. Much like if you do a painting, you either have to photograph it yourself or take it someplace to get it photographed so that you can get, an image to use as a cover or whatever you're doing the painting for, which is a pain in the butt. I mean, a smaller painting, obviously you can scan, but you're not going to scan an oil painting. You'd scan a watercolor, but you're not going to scan an oil painting. You're still going to shoot that. So anyway. That is true. That is absolutely true. I used to do that before I got home scanner and stuff, is get them shot on transparencies. That's absolutely what I would do. I used to take black and white art back in the late 80s, early 90s when I was working in commercial art, and we do a black and white piece. But basically what you do is get a stat made of it. right? And so this old guy he used to be an art photographer, and he was still doing it, but he had it set up in his basement. And he had this gigantic camera. I'm not kidding. It was like this big, and it was mounted on the wall. And then he had these 2 tracks, right? And he had a board that were attached to the tracks that he would hang the art on, and it would slide back and forth like this. And all this lighting set up, and he would shoot paintings and things like that. And I actually took stuff in there to have this guy shoot photostats for me of oversized artwork. So yeah, it was a different time back then, man. That is for sure. Anyway, okay, so moving right along, as we like to say on this show.
Moving right along.
See, that's proof we do like to say that. Okay, so I've got, what am I going to show you guys next? What do we got in the old, I don't got everything as prepared as I normally would. How about this? We've got a brand new segment on the show, okay? And I misrepresented it in the write-up for the show. I said, who's that or something, but it's actually called Who's This Guy? So check this out. That bass riff in there. Okay. I thought it'd be interesting to kind of start taking a look at some artists that maybe some of you aren't familiar with. And even guys that I'm familiar with, but not familiar with the broad scope of the work that they've done. So it gives me a chance to research a little bit and then can present to you maybe something that you have not seen before. Now, Fred Pfeiffer was a commercial artist, prominently working in the 60s and 70s. And you might remember his work from Doc Savage book covers. Now, he took over for James Bama. And as you can see, he used the same model that Bama did, but his painting style is much more stylized, where Bama's was just total photorealism. And I love James Bama's stuff, love it. But in some weird way, when I saw this, I said, that's not Bama, but it's so cool. If you want to look at the sort of like blocky, chunky way that he laid color down, look at that highlight right there. That's just a brush stroke. Boom. Another one there. Everything just, look at these straight lines there for the shirt and some of this other stuff. It's just very stylized. I'm not going to say Leyendecker-esque, but sort of pushing in that direction a little bit. Or he's sort of, using the brush stroke, the painting brush stroke to sort of create an effect. And I really liked him. And as much as I loved Bama on the covers of Doc Savage, I love Fred Pfeiffer just as much, but a different kind of love. It's sort of like when Wrightson started off doing Swamp Thing, and everybody was like, "Oh, this is brilliant." And then Nestor Redondo took over, and what Nestor Redondo did on that book was fantastic. But because Wrightson was so overpowering in his presence that I think Redondo got overlooked. But the Redondo Swamp Thing stuff is great. And by the same token, Fred Pfeiffer's work on Doc Savage was great. In fact, let's look at a couple more before I move on to some of the other stuff he did. But this is another Doc Savage cover. This is like one of my faves that he did. I can't remember the name of the book. I bet some of you guys know. Stephen Ng is correct. It is Steve Holland is the model. Thank you. It left my old man memory, but there it is. In fact, I have a big not a swipe file, but a file Steve Holland that I think Bama took, just him in different poses for Doc Savage. I've got like it's stacked that thick of them, so I can go back and do like my own Doc Savage paintings if I ever get the time. Keely Chow says, "What's going on?" Well, we're looking at Fred Pfeiffer right now. Keely, thanks for joining us. Paul Brillart says, talking about the show, did Josh get there, my son, or has pending fatherhood taken a priority? They're like trying to get in as much like vacation time and doing stuff over the weekends because they figure once they have a baby, they'll never get to leave the house. So yeah, he couldn't make it to the show this weekend. Citizen Ronan says a lot of men's magazine illustrators have this style. Yeah, I like this. Yeah, his men magazine illustration stuff looks more similar, I think, to what a lot of other people were doing. But this, I don't know, man. I really dig this style, and maybe just because he was the guy that was doing the Doc Savage covers, that it seemed like a unique style to me. But maybe it isn't as unique as I once thought. Here's one more. I couldn't find the cover art without the logo, because the one representation of the cover art I found I thought was really a poor scan. So this actually is a better scan. So we'll zoom in a bit here. But look at those rocks. Look at how chunky and loose those strokes are to create that rock back there. And look at the angularity of the brush strokes, you know, where Bama would go and just do everything really soft and photorealistic. This is more stylized, but it's really cool. I really, really like it. You can see it in the pants here as well. It's sort of Line Decker-esque, I think. But just really, really, really cool style that I like quite a bit. But he also did like movie work. Now check this out. This is tremendous painting, I think, of our good friend Indiana Jones. Look at that. Now this is more what I would expect to see traditional painting. It's not as stylized or blocky as the Doc Savage stuff was. And maybe because he was doing a portrait and he wanted, didn't want to make it too stylized. But that's a tremendous painting, though. Great likeness. Just, I really am jealous of these guys, because these guys went to art school when they were still teaching you stuff. So I don't know what this got used for, if it got used for anything, but tremendous. So that would have been what, probably, if this was the first movie, it would have been the movie came out in 81, so it might have been 1980. Probably would have done it before, but then again, it could have been something for after the film as well, rather than production art. So it could have been done 81, 82-ish. Now this is an interesting one too. I like this one a lot. This is for the movie Paint Your Wagon with Clint Eastwood and what's his face? Marcus, help me out. But yeah, these guys were getting a lot of, when I say these guys, I mean what we consider the classic illustrators. Were getting a lot of work in film, doing movie posters, production work, things like that. No, it's not Lee Van Cleef, Jeff Potts. It's oh, for crying out loud, who is it? Oh, Marcus, help me out here. It's he was an Emperor of the North, and the Big Red One, that World War II movie. Lee Marvin, thank you. Had a really infamous divorce case from this woman who he had lived with for just decades, and was basically his common law wife, although they'd never been married, and he gotten a divorce, and she ended up taking quite a bit from him. Lee Marvin, there it is. Thank you, everybody. Stat Zero says, "Gotta fly." Have a great night, all. Thanks for joining us, Stat. Appreciate it. That was early 70s movie. Now, this is kind of interesting. I don't remember ever. Not only have I not seen this movie, I've never heard of it. But this is an illustration for a Charlton Heston movie called The Hawaiians. Now, I remember seeing James Michener's, an adaptation of James Michener's Hawaii, but this is not the same thing. I would assume this has to do with white colonization of Hawaii. But anyway, I am not familiar with this film. So now I'm kind of like, well, I need to check this out. Anything with Chuck Heston in it. Stippling Vaughn says, "The Steelers win. They were playing Oakland. I'm sorry, not Oakland, Las Vegas, weren't they?" I think so. Old Dirty Fatty says, "Palimony." Of course, he's talking about the Lee Marvin thing. Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay. Yeah, JG's like, wow, that ship in the background. Yeah. It's a cool piece. Fire leaves a little bit to be desired, but everything else is cool. But anyway, yeah, so there's a look at Fred Pfeiffer. A guy that you don't hear, it's not like a household name, but did a lot of cool stuff in his career. And like I said, I discovered him as the next guy up on Doc Savage book covers, and then dug a little deeper, found some of this movie stuff that I thought was really, really fascinating. So there you go, Fred Pfeiffer. And of course, those were all oil paintings. So anyway, that's our new segment, Who's This Guy? And we'll be doing that every week with a new artist that I will dig up for you guys. And we'll see and maybe learn stuff together, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? Learning. I don't know if it is or not, but I like to learn. I guess it depends on how much effort I have to put into the learning. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now let's take a look at a little artwork from yours truly. Let's see what's in my flat file. Alrighty, let's move the comics out of the way. We'll be distracted by Bronze Age wonderfulness. All right, now I'm going to switch the camera again, but this time it'll actually work because I left it plugged in. Boom, there it is. Okay. Look at all those fun drawings up there. That's what I do when I'm talking to David Williams on the phone. Okay, so first off, today was a little boring at the show. It was very slow. So I thought, well, why just sit here wasting time? Why don't I draw something? So I did. Where is it? Remember these? Quisp and Count Chocula. Still available, by the way. Here it is. Let me pull this out. This is the Thing and Howard the Duck. Not Man-Thing and Howard the Duck, but The Thing and Howard the Duck. So Howard's there smoking his cigar. The Thing is smoking his cigar, kind of looking down. A little annoyance at Howard. Like, what's this guy doing here? But yeah, so I do that today. Like, there's my signature, proves it. Some really nice, heavy, almost cardboardy tan illustration for it. Takes a lot of erasing and stuff. It's good paper. It's expensive, but it's good. And that's what I worked on it today. Wanted to jazz it up with some lighting effects, which I did, putting the shadow there on the rocks of the Thing in his underpants, his blue underpants that he wears exclusively while fighting crime. with the Fantastic Four. And Howard the Duck, of course, in his white shirt, blue blazer, and polka dot tie. Interesting enough, you got to wonder where does that shirt that he has underneath his blazer, where does that shirt go? He doesn't have pants or anything to tuck it into. So realistically, it'd be hanging below the blue blazer, but they never show it that way, so I didn't draw it that way. So maybe it's rolled up or something. I don't know. But there you go. You got Howard the Duck and the Thing. That's what I call fun. Hey, Angela Curry's in the house. Thanks for joining us, Angela. Appreciate it. JJ Martinez, he caught the Batman. Says your Batman is just outstanding. Thank you so much. Oh, look at that. So now I guess now I'm streaming against Pete Sametti too. Oh boy, this is what you get for moving out of your time slot. Paul's like, Quisp didn't sell. I know, it's shocking to me, but not yet. Let's see here. Paul's like, I never made it to the sketches folder. Yeah, he bought some Conan Wonder Woman art and a Hawkman and Adam Strange cover. Craig Smith II is here. He says, hello, Aaron. Go Huskers. Yeah, how about that? Huskers have won 2 straight now. Whew, look out. Of course, they were smaller conference schools, but I'll take a victory whenever I can get it. He says, that Batman is cool. 2 questions. Name 3 writers that you wish you'd worked with and 3 you didn't want to work with. You know, I was never a big comic book writer fan because I didn't think there was all that much to it. I figured writing a good comic is about understanding how to tell an exciting or fun story, having it pay off. There's simple elements. I mean, your dialogue, you know, is important. But the dialogue always reads better in someone's head when they're reading it to themselves than it might play out in a movie or something. So your dialogue doesn't even have to be brilliant all the time like it would have to be in a screenplay. So I never really was like chasing after writers and saying, oh man, that's the guy I want to work with. Because I always figured I always wanted to write myself and always thought, well, I could write as good as this guy. How come I can't write this? But anyway, enough about me. The question is, I think I would have liked to work with Alan Moore just to say that I did it. I had an opportunity actually to do it, but the editor didn't think that my sensibilities, basically me being a Christian, working with a guy that's, you know, basically totally into witchcraft, that there would somehow be elements in the script that I might not be comfortable with. And so he didn't even want to go down that road. So it ended up not working out. But so Alan Moore, just out of, you know, curiosity, would have been, I'm trying to think. I worked with Jeff Johns once, and I thought he was terrific. Mark Waid, regardless of what you may think about him personally, heck of a comic book writer. Really always enjoyed working on his scripts. Dan Jurgens always enjoyed working on his scripts. But, you know, I don't know, maybe Neil Gaiman, just guys that are like the upper echelons. You could just say that you worked with them. I did do a script with Jim Shooter, and that was difficult just because his script was so incredibly dense. So, boy, who do I want to work with? Louise Simonson. I'd still. She did get credit for writing one of my Gen 13 bootlegs, but I actually wrote the script and just sent it to her, and then she sort of edited it, and then, you know, put in some touches here and there. But that really wasn't like her sending me a script and me reading it for the first time. And so Wheezy would definitely be someone. And Walter, too, is a guy that I wanted to work with. And we tried to get a project off the ground at Dark Horse called, I had pitched this to Walter, and he thought it was hilarious. He wanted to do it. But it was called John Carter and the Biker Chicks of Mars. And but Dark Horse wouldn't do it because they felt that it was too irreverent to the material. But I think we could have made it work really, really well. And with that absurd title, you got to think people would have picked it up just to find out what it was. But anyway, so Those are some names, guys that I don't know that I ever worked with a writer that I had a bad experience with. I'm trying to think. I always worked, I was very fortunate. I worked with people that were easy to work with, or at least they were easy with me. I don't know, other people may have had other horror stories, but I can't think of anybody that I wished I hadn't worked with, that I did work with. It was really, I worked with, she was very nice. She was an assistant to somebody, maybe Straczynski or somebody, like in TV shows and things. And I did a Rogue miniseries with her, and I thought it was kind of boring. In fact, it was really boring. But I don't think it was poorly written. I think it was poorly conceived, perhaps. But again, she was super nice, and I don't know. She was a TV. She was used to working in TV, and TV is very, very different than comics, especially superhero comics. But gosh, I can't. That's the best I can do for you, Craig. Legkick says, Aaron Lopresti, have you ever asked Walt for a Wraith of God cover? That's not a bad idea. I haven't yet, no. I'm already thinking about who my guest cover artist is going to be for Wraith of God 3, Fear Hollow. But before we get to that, now many of you guys may have seen, I previewed some of this probably on Graybeards, and then I did a live stream not too long ago, a last second live stream where I did layouts for these covers, but I have progressed a little bit on this cover. I wanted to finish it this weekend, but Comic-Con. So anyway, this was my original concept for my cover for Kit Carter graphic novel, which you will find the link to early sign up in the description of this video. So if you guys have not signed up early for this, please do. You're not committed to buying anything. You just type your name in or your email address, and it allows me to send you updates on the project. But if you do sign up early, before the campaign goes live, you will get, if you order, you will get a free David Williams trading card of one of my characters that we have not seen yet in, no, okay, that's not true. But it'll be a Power Cubed character. Anyway, that will be the trading card, but you can only get it for free if you sign up early. So sign up early. The link's in the description of the video, as I said. So anyway, this is kind of like a 50s, movie poster kind of thing, like maybe 1 million BC might have been. And then I expanded upon it here. And so after I did I did this one, kind of trying to get more of a pulpy feel to the cover, and went this direction, which is Kit Carter, Planet Doom, of course, is the name of the book, but this, with her kind of tied up badly with a monster, her full figure. Most people, I mean, most professionals too, but even guys in the chat were saying, go with this one, go with this one, go with this one. So I did, but I revamped the pose, as you can see a bit here. This is all on 20-pound copy paper, and then I'll go in and light table this onto the illustration board. I'm still working on this monster here, and of course I got to put Merv the Astro Chimp in here as well. But anyway, I like this pose a little bit better, so probably going to go this direction or some slight variation on this. Now, I also want to know, I want you guys to know that when we launched the Kit Carter graphic novel campaign, when it goes live, one of the perks on there will be an all-encompassing perk that you buy, and it's only available for one person, obviously, but you get all the original artwork, all the roughs, original artwork, not the finished artwork for the pages, but all the roughs I do. And so all this stuff will be included in that, with all the page layouts and stuff that I do as well, all the cover layouts, all this kind of. So it's actually pretty cool that you can get that. as a perk. So just keep that in mind down the road. But anyway, so this is what I'm working on. I hope to have this penciled by tomorrow, and because I got to get the trailer made before I can launch the video, and I need artwork finished so they can do the trailer. So I'm doing this. Speaking of large format, I'm doing this twice up. So this is going to be a really big piece of original artwork, and the original art for this cover will probably be for sale in the campaign as well. So there'll be stuff like that you can get your hands on if you are an art collector. Alrighty. There I am. I'm back. All right, let's see what you guys JG saying, man, those roughs are just awesome. Thank you, sir. There's Danky Frankie showed up. Citizen Ronan says, looks great, Aaron. Thank you, Citizen. Appreciate that. Danky says we should all move into a trailer park together. I don't know where that's coming from, but there's obviously stuff going on in the chat that I'm not aware of. Art of Roy said I would put Kit's Art of Roy always has advice for me. He's constantly giving me advice. I would put Kit's head at 3/4 instead of profile. Yeah, you might be right. We'll see how that plays out. Nice shirt, Aaron, isn't it though? Courtesy of Dale Keown. Yeah, Paul Taylor is up and awake. He's of course our resident biologist all the way from Canada. Who is the Bantor 2 says it was really nice to meet you this weekend. Hope you had a really good con. I had a good enough con, Bantor. It was nice meeting you too. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate that. Jeremy Burt said he saw Despero wearing that shirt. It's all over the place, man. The Dale Werewolf shirt. Art of Roy. She showed up at the very beginning of the show. Her lower back is killing her, literally. We're probably she's gonna have to get that fused, and we're just trying to get her in there so they can do something about the pain that she's been dealing with. It's EEY. Well, Creative Faye is also up late, was working on homework. Now, Creative Faye, are you teaching a class or are you in a class? So you're either working on homework, grading it, or preparing it, or doing it. Paul, of course, says all the cool kids have that shirt. I think you're right. Paul Brillard says, any cons scheduled coming up? Yeah, I'm going to be in Houston at the Bedrock City inaugural con, and that'll be the weekend of the 8th of October, 7th or 8th, somewhere in there. Would I prefer Magneto or Dr. Doom? I've drawn them both, Craig, and I like Dr. Doom by a lot, actually. Oh, Creative Faye is working on her master's degree. That's what smart people do. The geekies, you try booze to kill the pain. It worked for me. Yeah. Okay, so let's keep this train rolling. Now, I had promised you guys that I would do a review of Creature from the Black Lagoon in 3D. So my local theater, I thought I had some visual aids here, but I don't know, do I? This has nothing to do with anything, but this, of course, is Little Bigfoot from my Strange Creatures, Fantastical Creatures, How to Hunt Them Down and Draw Them Where They Live book from Watson Guptill from 15 years ago. Full of painted illustrations just like this by me of strange creatures, and one of them is Little Bigfoot. I was just sitting there on my desktop, so I thought I'd show it. Okay, but seriously, folks, so let's take a look at. I don't have any clips or anything because I don't do the clip thing because I've been shut down too many times for doing the clip thing. Okay, so let's Creature from the Black Lagoon. This is the DVD cover, but when this movie came out in, God, when was it? 53, 54, 1954. There it is. It was originally it was originally released in 3D. So whenever you see it at a theater, and I've seen it many times in theater, and on re-releases and stuff like that, and they always show it in 3D, which used to kind of annoy me because it was like, I've got glasses on, so I got to put the 3D glasses over my glasses. But anyway, I've gotten used to it. So this movie has one of the best costumes. And again, you're looking at, this was a B movie. This was not like a big budget Hollywood production. It was just a B movie, and they outdid themselves with it. Much like, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, a B movie that really, really was good. And so is this. You've got the sort of romantic triangle, little tension there between the two male leads and our heroine. The guy that plays the boat captain is priceless in this movie. Very good. The only mild criticism, it's not even really a criticism of the film, was they're in the Amazon allegedly, right? But this was actually filmed in Florida. The Everglades stuff was filmed in Florida, not far from where I used to live when I was working at CrossGen. I never got up there to see it, and I'm very ticked off myself for that. But anyway, so basically the boat goes into this lagoon, and the idea is that a little bit farther upriver, they'd found this fossilized hand of the creature in this rock formation, and they couldn't find the rest of the skeleton. So they thought, well, maybe it had fallen off into the water and then gone downstream and maybe flushed into this lagoon. So they went into this lagoon, the Black Lagoon, to find these fossilized remains. And then, of course, they run into the actual Gillman himself, still alive and well. So what they do is they get on their scuba gear, the two male leads. They jump into the water and start, looking for fossils before they discovered the creature's actually still alive. And I sat there and I thought, would you just jump into a lagoon off the Amazon River? That'd be full of crocodiles. It'd be full of like killer anacondas. I mean, it would not be, a safe place to go swimming. And then I know that's kind of a nitpicky, dumb thing to say, but it did cross my mind. I thought, and again, it was a B movie and, yada, yada, yada. But wouldn't it have been nice if they'd put a line in there like, shouldn't we be worried about crocodiles? And having some BS scientific thing like, well, they usually don't go into lagoons because of blah, blah, whatever. Just to actually acknowledge the fact that this was a potential threat rather than just kind of, jumping into the Amazon River and expecting to find nothing but rocks. So anyway, that was one thing I was kind of like, come on. But other than that, I thought the costume was great. The story was simple but straightforward. It wasn't even that long of a movie, about an hour and a half. But so they got to the point. The only thing that that kind of annoys you about these movies is when they do the little short exposition at the beginning of the movie where they explain evolution to you or something, and you're like, okay, is this a science class or a movie? But I thought for the most part, they had a short period of time a short scene where they did that sort of explained, the lungfish and but they did a nice job, I thought, of incorporating those moments within the flow of the film the rest of the way. So whenever there was a minute where they were going to take and say something scientifically factual to, sort of legitimize what you're watching, they kind of worked it into the script. So I thought it wasn't like sermonizing. It was just part of what these scientists talking, which I thought was good. I think the dialogue overall was good. I think it was shot well. The underwater sequences were really quite good, especially the underwater ballet sequences between the girl and the creature. And I thought the 3D was effectively used, but not overdone. So, all in all, thumbs up from me. I will say that there was one irritating point that's always kind of bothered me about this movie. it says in the very start of the film, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form or void. And then there's this explosion, which is apparently supposedly the Big Bang, right? And the earth forms, and they go through this whole thing. So it's like, it's funny because the whole movie is basically preaching evolution, but the very beginning, they got to put the thing in about God there so they didn't offend the audience, right? By pushing evolution, which just cracks me up because you're in 1954. It just shows you how different culturally things were in the 50s than they are now. That they would put that sort of disclaimer in there at the beginning to sort of like soften the blow of all the evolutionary stuff that they're going to be talking about, that let you know that no, we believe in God, but so it was kind of a weird, contradictory sort of two elements in this film, because it is all about evolution and evolutionary theory, but they have to put the God thing at the very beginning as to be, soften it so it's not as offensive. So I thought that was kind of funny. Paul Taylor is something I agree with. I don't believe that there's any conflict between science and Christianity, for example. But you have to be willing to believe not only in science or the natural world, but also in the supernatural world to a certain element. And you have to be able to let those two things coexist. And if you're unwilling to do that, then of course you're going to have struggles with piecing everything together. But I found it was interesting. Stephen Ng giving us some notes here. Millicent Patrick designed the creature. She was a graduate of Chouinard Art Institute and formerly an effects animator for Walt Disney's Fantasia. How about that? I mean, that's one of the things that you really have to admire is how great this suit was, especially on what, the minuscule budget these guys were probably working on for this movie. But again, they kept it simple. They kept the plot simple, straightforward, but it was effective. And the film moved pretty well with the exception of that very beginning sort of monologue about evolution and stuff that was kind of like, are we in the classroom or are we, but again, they didn't push it too far, so it didn't get too long, and you were like, it kind of like pushed it right there to the limit, then they moved on. So even that I didn't think was as annoying as sometimes you'll see in some of these types of sci-fi films where they tried to get all scientific and explain stuff to you. Sad that all creatures need to be humanoid for the audiences to connect. That's an interesting observation. I wonder how much of that is also at the time that it was always, because everything was practical effects, it had to be a guy in a suit, right? They weren't doing CGI monsters back then. It had to be a guy in a suit, so therefore it had to be somewhat humanoid. But it is interesting. I wonder if they actually thought that deeply about it. It was like, we want to keep this guy humanoid so that we can have this sort of empathetic creature with the audience. It's interesting. Because these dang 50s monster movies need better theology. No, I'm sure all you guys have seen this movie, and it's a really good movie. It's not an Academy Award winner or anything, but for what it is, it's a well done movie, and directed by Jack Arnold, who I believe was a stunt guy or originally or something like that. So it's not, the direction isn't overly creative, but it's effective. The storytelling is solid. I remember watching the film thinking, oh, guy, I would have shot this differently, or I might have, like, they reveal the creature too soon for my tastes. The guys are swimming around looking for fossils, and we get a shot behind the creature with the seaweed floating up behind him or whatever. So you don't get to see his face, but then they show a shot of his face. Like, I think it's just the wrong moment. I might have waited until the girl jumped in the water and was swimming before he revealed his face. Or there was another opportunity, I can't remember off the top of my head, where the guys were out there swimming, and I thought, okay, that's the place to reveal the face. But, things like that, or, That's what keeps it from being a 4-star. It's just a 3-star movie, right? I don't know, but it was good. I really enjoyed it, and I will always go see that when it shows up at the theater, and I did. So there you go. So those of you who say that I hate all movies, I don't. There's 2 thumbs up for Creature from the Black Lagoon. In fact, I like all 3 of the Creature movies, although I haven't seen Return of the Creature and The Creature Walks Among Us. I haven't seen those in quite some time. Of course, Return of the Creature, you'll find a cameo in the very early scenes with our good friend Clint Eastwood. So, Creative Face says the ventriloquist Jeff Dunham has a life-size statue of the Creature of the Black Lagoon. How about that? I agree with Paul here. CGI can be good if you take the time to do it properly. Lately, most of it is just pumped out without much quality control. Most things aren't good without that. That is the truth. Yeah, well, Paul, you know that Graham and I disagree on a couple of things as far as movies go. Star Trek II being one of them, and then of course this movie, because Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein sucks, and I don't care what Graham says. Paul Broad says USC movie ruined movies for you. It's the coursework that causes you not to be able to unsee errors. Well, there's some truth in that. He also has a Frankenstein. Wow. If I don't think my there's Brian Norton all the way from Japan joining us. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. I don't think Shelley would go for life-size statues of Frankenstein and Creature from the Black Lagoon. I would be a guy tempted to do that, though. This is completely unacceptable on my lifestyle. That is simply not true, Mr. Monkey Boy. There we go. Now here's some truth. Star Trek II is a goat of Trek movies. Absolutely it is. Shelley says, nope. I don't know what she's referring to, but something, you guys in the chat, I'm sure. This is true. That is absolutely true. Sometimes those statues walk around at night. I've heard that. But he's either not married, Creative Faye, or he has a very, very understanding wife. Oh, I know what Shelley's saying. She's saying nope to lifestyle statues. Yeah, there it is. Statues, you goober. Yeah, she's nope to the statues. Oh, he shares them on his YouTube channel. I'll have to go check that out. All right. Lifestyle statue of Nosferatu. That would creep me out. It would creep Shelley out beyond belief, but that would even creep me out. So now you're going next level creepiness there. All the show time is, we're just moving right along, aren't we? I've got some more stuff.
Moving right along.
If I'm going to say it, I might as well play it. Okay, so let me see here what I've got in the old pipeline here. Oh, this is good. We haven't done this yet. I figured since we're talking about Creature from the Black Lagoon, let me give you my top 5. Monster movies, not horror films, because I think horror films are different than monster films. Like The Exorcist, that's a horror film. Frankenstein is more of a monster film, at least in the way that Graham Nolan, of course, might disagree with me. But that's kind of, I separate those things a little bit. So if there's no monster, King Kong or something like that, then I don't consider it a monster movie. I consider it a horror film. Hellraiser, that's a horror film. It's not a monster movie necessarily. So anyway, so that's just what I'm saying. All right, let's take a look at my top 5 monster movies. These are all sort of like classics too. They're not anything modern. It's all classics. So number 5. Okay, at number 5, the only horror monster film, genre film to ever win a Best Actor Academy Award. It's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Now, the reason I consider this a monster film, it's also a horror film, I think, but it's a monster film because the makeup on for this movie on Frederick March is stellar. And that's one of the reasons why I like it so much. If you remember the 1940, this is 1931, the 1941 version with Spencer Tracy, it's an all-star cast, Spencer Tracy, Lana Turner, and Ingrid Bergman. But Spencer Tracy didn't use any makeup. He wanted his performance, and it's not very good. I mean, not his performance, but the movie itself is just, this, however, is brilliant. And Frederick March, of course, won an Academy Award for Best Actor for this. And but he tied with, was it Walter Beery for The Champ, I believe? But this performance is spectacular, and it's a really creepy film, because as Mr. Hyde develops this weird relationship with this burlesque, I don't know, I wouldn't call her she wasn't a prostitute, but she worked in a like a burlesque type show. I guess that's the best way to put it. And he's married to this, he's engaged. Dr. Jekyll is actually pronounced Dr. Jekyll, but heck with that. We've been calling him Jekyll forever. So, so he, as Dr. Jekyll, he saves this, or helps out this lady of the night, this burlesque gal, that's Miriam Hopkins, who's beautiful in it. And there's a very sexy scene, especially for 1931, between the two of them, and he sort of becomes enamored with her, but he's already engaged to, this very high class young lady. And so when he becomes Mr. Hyde, he sort of seeks out this burlesque gal and forces her into a relationship that's really brutal. And I'm sure there's a lot of abuse going on. That's sort of, some of it is on screen, but a lot of it's, suggested, but it's pretty creepy. So it's an excellent film, tremendous. I'm a huge Frederick March fan, tremendous performance, obviously won the Academy Award for it. I highly recommend it. And it's number 5, but I give it that monster movie because of the monster-like type makeup that is used here for Mr. Hyde, rather than just a straight horror film. And no, this isn't a silent film. It's early talkie, but it is not. Anyway, so that's my 5th favorite. And the way the glowing reviews I just about had it, you would think it would be higher than that. Let's see what's number 4. All right, this may not rank as high with many other people, but as it does with me. But Werewolf of London, this is, as absurd as it may sound, this is my favorite werewolf makeup. And as the story goes, the actor Henry Hull, who portrayed Werewolf of London, and this is 1931-ish as well. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde might have been 1932, so I'd have to go check. But Henry Hull didn't want heavy makeup on because he was an actor and he didn't want his face covered up. So they came up with this makeup that was still quite effective and quite creepy, and I thought pretty good. And he had one of those faces that fit the makeup really well, just like Lon Chaney Sr. or Boris Karloff did as Frankenstein or the Mummy. He just had a face that really worked with that makeup. And although Franklin Pierce's work on The Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr. is a much more spectacularly difficult makeup to create, I prefer this. And I actually kind of like the movie. And those of you who've read Wraith of God, the original, the #1 graphic novel from last year, will note that there are several references to this film in that comic. The monster hunter from Europe, his name is Henry Hull. You'll also notice that Yemen Chen, the curator from the museum that's there to buy the amulet, is based on Warner Oland, who was in this movie, also played Charlie Chan. So there's a few references to this film in there, and and maybe I love it so much because of the makeup, but I also love the part where he locks himself in a hotel room, turns into a werewolf, and then puts on his hat and scarf before he goes out to kill. You can't get much better than that. You want a werewolf that's concerned about how he looks when he goes out in public. So Geeky says favorite werewolf movie is American Werewolf in London. I like that movie, and Rick Baker, come on. The makeup after that is, it was groundbreaking, but not my favorite werewolf film. I do enjoy it. I do like it, but not my favorite. Maybe Hitchcock was right about actors. Oh, I think Hitchcock was right about actors. 1931. I assume, Paul, you're talking about Werewolf of London, not Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Oh, he's talking about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is 1931. Okay, so I was right the first time. Art of Royce, he's more critical than I am. He says, it may just be me, but all of John Landis's movies are, I think, dearly slow. He probably means deathly slow. I can't stand any of them. I'm not a huge John Landis's film fan, but American Werewolf in London, it is slow. When you watch it, there's not much werewolf in it, but the werewolf that is in it, groovy. Yeah, The Howling was actually, I prefer that to American Werewolf in London. However, The Howling with Joe Dante film, that makeup was by Rob Bottin, but it was Rob Bottin assisted by Rick Baker, who was Rob Bottin's mentor. So and they got this movie out before American Werewolf in London. So they used those air bladder effects, and which I believe Dick Smith first used in maybe The Exorcist. I'm not sure about that because I've never seen that movie. It creeps me out. But in Altered States, he used those, air bladder effects that Rick Baker sort of revolutionized in American Werewolf in London. But those were also the same effects they used in The Howling, and Rick Baker helped Rob Bottin pull it off. So he basically undermined his own film, and John Landis was pissed, I guess, that he helped with the effects on the movie, a werewolf movie that came out before American Werewolf in London did, and sort of took the shine off of those special effects that they were going to premiere in American Werewolf in London. So very interesting. Green Laser, I do have a small black dog. We've had him for 3 years. He's the one that barks all the time. Look at that. Blarbful says Silver Bullet is so lame. Yeah, well, it's Stephen King, so don't get me started on that. Alrighty, so there's my 4. Let's take a look at number 3. What happened to my art? Oh, there it is. Okay, I'm sorry. Now, Graham Nolan would go nuts if he saw this is only 3rd on my list. Frankenstein, the original. This film is problematic in a couple of ways. One, and I think if you guys watch The Professionals, I think Graham and I were discussing it. This was 1931 as well, and it was they had just come into doing talkies, and they really forgot about music. Now, some people said there was, marrying the dialogue with the music was problematic, and maybe that's why we didn't see as much music in the early sound films. But this film could have benefited greatly from a musical soundtrack that it essentially just didn't have at the right moments. Also, I've always felt that when we first see the monster, he backs into the room and then turns around, which I just think is silly. Why would he back into the room? The only reason he backs into the room is because they want to do this reveal, right, where he turns and everybody gasps at, Karloff's face. And they could have got the exact same effect just by lighting it so that he was in complete silhouette shadow as he's outside the door. And then when he walks into the room, he gets hit by the light, and then boom, you're going to have the same effect. So I'm not really sure why they went that direction. But that's always bugged me. Even when I was a kid, I'm like, why is he backing into the room? So that little guffaw right there makes this number 3 on my list instead of number 1. I did enjoy this film. I do love it, and I'll watch it anytime it's on. It's a little abbreviated, maybe would be the right word. Feels like it could have been longer. Like there was more movie in here to be told. But you can't argue with the fact that it's pretty efficient and it moves right along. So anyway, it's a classic. It's Karloff as Frankenstein. There's nothing better than that. But it is number 3 on my list. Number 2. All right. Well, we just talked about it, so why not we take another look at it real quickly? I'm not going to go into too much depth because, like I said, we've already talked about it. But Creature from the Black Lagoon is my number 2 all-time favorite monster movie, and for no other reason than that crazy costume is so good. And me being a visual person, I have a hard time enjoying a monster film where I don't like the makeup. And that's one of the reasons why I don't love The Wolfman, which is a really good film. I just don't like Lon Chaney as the Wolfman. I don't like that makeup. I don't know why. It's not bad. I don't know. There's just something about it that just doesn't resonate with me. And so it falls down on my list a little bit. Now, one of the movies that could have made this list, and we still have number 1, so we'll find out if it did or not, was The Mummy, which has great makeup, again, by Jack Pierce of Universal Monster fame. He created all these things, not the creature, but all the classic ones from the 30s and 40s. He did the makeup, and he was spectacular. Second best makeup guy, in my opinion, next to Lon Chaney, senior of the Golden Age. Then you get in the modern age, you got Dick Smith, Rick Baker, and Rob Bottin. Rob Bottin's special effects on The Thing were spectacular. Rick Baker, everything he does is spectacular. And Dick Smith did fantastic work. And he was like the best age makeup guy I've ever seen. If you look at like his work on David Bowie in The Hunger, the vampire film, when David Bowie is aging, or Dustin Hoffman in Little Big Man, where he's telling the tale of Custer's last stand as like a 100-year-old man or whatever. Dick Smith did that makeup. And then, of course, Altered States, which I love that movie, with William Hurt and Blair Brown, I think, is the leading actress in there. But it's basically when they go on those, what do you call them? Those water chambers where guys used to do LSD and they'd go float in water in the 60s. And he turns into a caveman, basically. Love that movie. But anyway, that's not number 1. Here's number 1. And again, our good friend Graham Nolan would not agree with me on this placement, but hey, we all have different tastes, don't we? I happen to love Bride of Frankenstein. I happen to think it's got my favorite monster, Karloff, as the Frankenstein monster. And I know that I agree with Graham's assessment that this is more of a fantasy film than it is a horror film. I do agree with that, but it's still a monster movie. But you've got the scene with the old man in the cabin, which is a wonderful scene and was brilliantly parodied by Gene Hackman and Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder in Young Frankenstein. The bride, the creation of the bride, this relationship between Dr. Frankenstein and Dr. Pretorius, I do think I agree with Graham. I do think the little people scene is a bit silly in some ways, but fun nonetheless. I find this to be more developed than the original Frankenstein movie. I know Karloff didn't like the idea of the monster talking. I happen to like the idea of the monster talking, and there's some really good scenes in this film. And so this is probably my favorite monster film of all time. Gene Hackman. Didn't I say Gene Hackman? What did I say? I meant to say Gene Hackman, but so I'm not going to read that, Vic. Those tiny little people at the beginning ruin it for me. It is a bit silly. I do agree, but Dr. Pretorius is such a nut job character that I kind of go with the sort of, I don't know. There's sort of a dark humor, a comedic vibe to this film that it's just so layered on at so many levels. Whereas the original Frankenstein is just very sort of straightforward and presentational. This has a lot of thought behind it, and I just appreciate the depth that this movie has in it. Let's see here. That is correct. Razor Dick Smith did do the makeup for The Exorcist. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. I don't think it was Tom Savini. I don't know. Demon Eye says Rob Bottin is selling real estate now. Are you kidding me? Is that true? Really? Man. He might have done the best on-screen special effects makeup ever in The Thing. That was incredible. Now, see, I don't consider The Thing a monster movie. It's more of a horror film. That's why it's not on here, because it doesn't really have a specific monster. I mean, it does, but the monster doesn't have a specific look, I guess is what I'm saying. So, Isolation Chamber, I think you're right. We were talking about altered states. I'm kind of going backwards on the chat, you guys, so you have to forgive me. Demon Eye said, Dick Smith was a sweetheart. I did his correspondence makeup course and spoke to him. Could not have been a sweeter guy. Wow. It's awesome. I almost, I recently sent a message to Rick Baker telling him that I came this close in high school to sending him some of my artwork, because I read this story that Rick Baker told that he sent drawings to, oh, let me see, I take it back. It was Rob Bottin who sent drawings to Rick Baker, and then Rick Baker hired him as his apprentice. And I almost did the same thing to Rick Baker after reading that, because I was really thinking about, before I went to film school, I was really thinking about special effects makeup. And probably a good thing I didn't do it, because who would have known that 30 years later, 20 years later even, that CGI would take over the film industry and practical effects would all but be dead. Let's see here. Gordox Pub says, I liked De Niro as the monster. Well, he's probably the superior actor, but he didn't have the, I don't know. No one had Karloff's face, you know what I mean? It's like Karloff's face was made for this type of thing, and he looks so good in it, in that makeup. Joseph Fazio says, Aaron, Joseph. See, Paul Taylor agrees with me. I talking about, of course, Frankenstein entering the room backwards. If he entered it forward, and they could have done it with lighting, I don't know why they didn't. Black Cat, of course, you're talking about the version with Karloff. Was Bela Lugosi in that too? I think he was. I'm not a big. I don't like Lugosi at all. I've never liked Lugosi. He just, I don't know. I mean, I know he sort of defined the role of Dracula, but yeah, it really did it for me. Bretsky the Great says, "What about the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms?" Yeah, that's a monster movie, but I can only pick 5, and this is my number 1. The Mummy gets a shout out from me. I thought that was a good movie. Very creepy. Karloff as the Mummy, though, was in it for just a couple of seconds. That makeup is so good. It's like, man, they should have shown us more of that. But even when he's Ardeth Bay, if you look at his face, it's got like these wrinkles and stuff in his skin because he's so old. It's still really, really nice work by Jack Pierce. Even though it's not full on mummy makeup like he was for the very beginning of that movie for just a few seconds. Anywho, so there you go. Danky Frank says Legusi. It's actually Lugosi. Was good in Dracula, but the movie is boring. Great performance though. Okay, well, I'll give you that. Art Roy says weird. The power just went out. Well, we're talking about monster movies. The Fly is a fun monster movie. Yeah, the original and also the remake is pretty darn good. The remake, of course, is quite a bit more hardcore than the original. Alien 1979 says, what year was the first Frankenstein movie? That was 1931. 1931. They just suddenly everybody was doing monster movies. Pretty interesting. Actually, I really like Phantom of the Opera 2, Lon Chaney Sr. I think it's really good, along with Nosferatu, the silent version. The Werner Herzog remake with what's his name, Kinski, is really interesting. It's very slow and methodical, but it's really, really interesting and very creepy. But I still prefer the original silent one. But I also like Phantom of the Opera. It's got some great moments in it. So Squib says the remake makes me nauseous. He's talking about The Fly. It was pretty gross. I went through this phase where gross stuff didn't bother me. Now it bothers me a lot. But Incredible Shrinking Man, that was a cool flick and very, very deep philosophical ending to that film, which you don't normally see. Again, that was a B movie that actually went beyond what you would have expected a B movie to do. Great ending, like I said, very philosophical. The role of man in the universe, kind of thing. There was some good B movies that were produced back then that maybe they didn't expect to be so brilliant when they first put them together. So, but anyway, there's my top 5 monster movies of all time. Look at this. We've been going for 2 hours already. Is that amazing? And time flies, man. Time flies when you're having fun. So just keep telling yourself, I'm having fun. I'm having fun. I'm having fun.
Drink.
That'll also help you have fun, I guess, is having a drink. Okay, so now we get to the sort of meteor part of our show. When I say meteor, I don't mean meteor coming from the sky. I mean meat-ear, like more meat. A long way around a really stupid joke. Okay, I guess you know what we've got, guys. The only thing we've got left. Oh, we've got Precious Moments from yesterday, and I think you guys will all enjoy this. One of my favorite movies from the 70s, and one of my favorite superhero films of all time. Let's check this out.
Excuse me. That's a bad idea.
Excuse me. Oh my goodness. I love that scene. It starts off with Christopher Reeve running to a phone booth, and it's like one of those short ones that you can't fully get into. So that was a good joke. Those of you who even remember what phone booths were. And then we have this three with the I guess that was a pimp or something supposedly, and going, say man, look at those threads, and he's like, excuse me. I just love Christopher Reeve as Superman. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what David Williams says. I don't care what anybody says. It's my favorite. So, and I still will stick by that today. Love that movie. Geeky, he says, love that scene and the music. And you're right. The music for that movie was great. Of course, John Williams, once again, bringing that Academy Award winning score. Sam Goyer says the helicopter rescue scene is perfect and still holds up. I agree. Always trust a pimp's word on an outfit, says Tex Zombie. Christopher Reeves was Superman, absolutely. I see some not necessarily new names that guys haven't seen in a while. You guys like and subscribe if you haven't done that already. We're, we got 100 viewers or plus, whatever. So if there's any new ones here, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And please hit the like and subscribe if you don't mind. And also, remember the Kit Carter graphic novel Planet Doom early sign up is now available on Indiegogo. Just follow the link in the description of this video. Type in your email address, and you'll get updates when the campaign goes live and everything that goes with it. And you also you'll get with your first order or your order, you'll get a free David Williams trading card. And the only way you can get it for free is if you sign up early. So please do that. Paul Taylor, all the way from Canada, saying $20. Wow, Paul, thank you so much. That ain't cheap, as they say. Here's a SC for your quality depiction of pineapple on pizza at the beginning of the stream. Try Domino's chicken bacon Alfredo. It's quality too. Christopher Reeve Superman, best Superman for me. Okay, this is what I don't understand. Why would you take people take barbecued chicken and put it on a pizza? If I want barbecued chicken, I'm just going to eat barbecued chicken. I don't need to ruin my pizza by putting a second dinner on top of my pizza. And it sounds to me, Paul, like you're suggesting that I take another dinner and pour it on top. I love chicken Alfredo, don't get me wrong, but I love pizza. I love chicken Alfredo, but I don't need to mix the two together. I mean, I guess in the name of efficiency, you put it on there so you could have two dinners at the same time. I don't know. Chicken bacon Alfredo, it's quality too. Boy, do I have enough guts to order an entire pizza and eat it if it's chicken Alfredo bacon? Boy, I don't know. I like the sound of chicken Alfredo with bacon in it, but throw pizza on top of that, it may be too much for me, Paul. But since you contributed $20 to tell me that, I will consider it. I will consider it. Let's see. Do you ever dip bread in your Alfredo sauce? Same thing. Well, okay, no, madam. And here's the thing. If you're having a noodle dish, you've already got your starch, you already got your carbohydrate. You don't want to add bread on top of the noodles, right? You should be eating a side salad or something. So no, I've never dipped my bread. I would, but I don't eat bread because I've already got noodles with the dish. Although I will admit, spaghetti, sometimes you'll get garlic bread that'll go with the Italian dinner that most likely has noodles in it as well. But I'm just saying, I don't think I've ever had bread with Alfredo. I do make a really good Alfredo, by the way. So there. I know, I was saying, come on, guy gave you $20 Canadian, man. You got to go through with it. I don't know. Should I order it for next live stream and eat it on camera? See, I don't know. I don't know. I'll think about it. See, I'm not going down that road either. There's no eggplant. I'm not putting eggplant on a pizza. I know people that do and swear by it, but Demon Eyes says, what? I'm an Italian and we eat bread with everything, Aaron. Well, okay. I'm Italian too, and I do eat bread, but it doesn't occur to me. It seems repetitive to me. That's why I don't go and order pizza and breadsticks. Because why do I want bread when I'm already eating bread, which essentially is the pizza? Never made sense to me. Now, if I went there and got a salad with the breadsticks, then that works. But I'm not going to order pizza and then breadsticks to go with the pizza. That's what the crust is. It's just me. Now, if you get a really thin crust pizza, then maybe the bread crust works. But I usually go deep dish or, thick crust bread type crust because I like that better. So I wouldn't eat breadsticks with it because I always feel like that's what I'm already doing it. So just saying. A dumb old Vic is like, what do you like? Pepperoni and mushrooms, right? Are you trying to say, Vic, that I'm just like the common man? I am the common man. I like pepperoni. I like sausage, mushrooms, olives. I will go Canadian bacon pineapple. I do enjoy that. But I kind of I'm more of a standard sort of, although I've tried blue cheese as added, like a blue cheese crumble on the pizza, and it's really good. If you like blue cheese, I guess if you don't like blue cheese, you wouldn't think so. But, I don't get into this sort of like shrimp on pizza. Blech. I don't like that. I tried that and I don't like it. Barbecue chicken, I've never tried it. I'm sure it's fine, but it's like, then to me, it becomes something else. It's not pizza anymore when you start adding your second dinner on top of the pizza. So I'm just very particular. What can I tell you? Very particular. Yeah, look at that. Paul, what can of worms did you open? It's now the pizza show. No, it is not the pizza show. It's a show about the unknown. It's a show about discovery. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a show Yes, it is time. Boy, did I dig up a lot of crap for you guys this week. But first, Phil Diaz, who also, of course, is also known as Merv the Astro Chimp, sent this to me, said, Aaron, this is important for your show. There it is. He's found Bigfoot, apparently. I don't even know where this is, but I got to tell you, any supermarket that has a statue of Bigfoot out front, that's a place I'm shopping. Oh, look, they have pizza to go right there. Do you think they put Alfredo on that pizza in there? Probably not. Anyway, so there's Phil's contribution to the show. Thankfully, I thank you, Phil, for that. Thankfully, I have better videos than, I have, maybe they're not better than that, but at least they're moving. So let's take a look. We're going to take a look at a couple of real things first because I found them fascinating. And check out this video on this massive giant squid. It floated towards the surface, so they think it's dying. You can kind of tell by its skin that it looks like it's starting to peel off a little bit, so I don't think it's in too good a shape, and that's why it was so close to the surface. But this is I find this to be a very interesting video because giant squids are they're cryptids, but they're actually real. But they're kind of creepy. Let's take a look at this guy. You can see the diver right there to give you an idea of how big this thing is. Oh, God, that's dark water, man. It's creeping me out. I would not be hanging with this dude. But you can see kind of the skin. That's what they were saying in this video, is that they assumed this thing was dying. That's why it was so close to the surface, because normally they're not. They don't swim that close to the surface. That is one big freaking squid right there. It's not a giant squid. It's what they call it, a gargantuan squid, or a what do they call these things? Something like that. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Because these are, man, there's some creepy, weird stuff in the ocean. All right, now check this out. This is another real thing. We call it a saltwater crocodile. So we got like a fish flopping around there. I think this guy just reeled in, right? Now, this is in Australia, I believe. Can you imagine that? Jeez, let's go swimming. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to. Thanks, but no. Come on, where's it? Here, oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh. Yeah, I'm not going swimming in that water. That's the ocean. So not only everything kills you and eats you in Australia. You go in the ocean, the crocodile's going to kill you. You go in the ocean, great white's going to get you, or a deadly jellyfish, or you stay on the surface and there's like spiders as big as your head just waiting to feast on you. And it's just crazy, but cool. Cool. I guess if you grew up in that area, you just kind of get used to it. But wow. All right. So those are two real things, and shockingly, they're pretty much in focus. Yeah. Mo Madam is just straight up water scares me. Yeah, me too. Snake spiders, great whites, saltwater crocs. Yeah, tough place. I guess that's why they made it into a penal colony originally, right? So we drop all the prisoners off there and say good luck. Man. All right, now this is a video that I've titled "Worst Cryptid Ever." You tell me what you think of this. Man, I found some bad ones this week. Okay, check this out. All right, look at this. A dude with a fake beard on. Look at he's in his underwear and he has socks on his hands. What are we supposed to? Are you kidding me? Can you guys not do better than that? This is terrible. Look at that. He's got his boxer shorts on. Oh, well, look, his eyes are glowing. Yeah, duh. Look at this. Look at that. Tell me what that is. Tell me that is not your neighbor with socks on his hands and his long underwear standing in your driveway. I mean, come on. It's just terrible. And then if this is actually computer generated, why would you generate it to look like your neighbor? I mean, it's just sucks. This is like, I'm failing you. If you're in a cryptid class with me and I say, make a cryptid movie, and this is what you come up with, F. Okay? You must do better. What do you guys think? See? Kelsey. He dropped some change. He's looking for his change. Sock puppets. Graybeard. No. Fentanyl zombie. Meth is a terrible drug. Jeff Potts is like, are you crazy, Aaron? It's totally real. Alien 1979 says, run him over the car, gain DNA from him. I think you're onto something there. All right. Now that I entitled that video "Worst Cryptid Ever," but then the follow-up video is "Worst Cryptid Again." So I couldn't decide which one was worse. So all right. So let's take a look at this. Okay, so these guys are out, as the story goes, in the woods or something, and they come across this sewer, this big sewer grate thing. And then there's apparently something in there. Let's just see. So he's walking down, there's the sewer. What do we see? Oh, he sees his buddy in a stocking cap. See him getting out of the thing right there? That is a guy in a stocking cap with, it looks like a COVID mask on or something. And then they say, but look, there's a black cat up here. So what? This is terrible. Look at, he's wearing a mask, sunglasses, and a stocking cap. Tell me that's not what that is. And he's got a sweater on and his jeans, his mom just washed for him. And yet they're saying, look at this cryptid. What could it be? It appears to be something not quite of our species. That is a dude with a stocking cap, sunglasses, and a mask on right there, and a sweater. This is terrible. Terrible. I expect better effort than this. Paul Taylor, look, it's a sewer. Let's investigate. In the middle of the night, said nobody ever, of course. Somewhere out there, Jeff Potts says, there's a cryptid documentarian running after it in order to collect its poo for analysis. Yes, this is Worst Cryptid Ever Part 2. And that's you guys come to the show to see this. So I'm not going to let you down. All right, this is called Blurry Bigfoot, which should not be a surprise to anybody because that's the only kind of Bigfoot videos that exist. So let's take a look at this this Bigfoot video, and you tell me, does this make you believe? Okay. Look how clear that picture is, and then clear, and then this. Now, I think everything about this is fake, but I will give them credit for giving them the longer arms. I assume this is like probably put in like in some sort of video program. But I like the longer arms, shorter legs. They're thinking, okay, well, we can't be a guy in a suit, so we'll do this. Kind of looks like a little bit of a monkey. He's strolling along, taking his time. That's good, you know. Kind of hunched over a little bit. Let's see. Steve Larry says Butchie Kid Videos has great resolution Bigfoot videos, by the way. Butchie Kid Videos. All right, I'll check it out. See what I can find. Recorded with 90s cell phone in glorious 240p. Steve Larry said, it looks like it's float walking. Yeah, well, you know, it is said that Bigfoot is an interdimensional being so that he's like always in flux, as we can't get a clear picture of him because he's always phasing in and out of dimensions, and perhaps he is floating. Gordox Pub says he's looking for his chicken bacon Alfredo pizza. That, now you're on to something. No, Madaman says that one's not too bad to me, actually, except that it's incredibly out of focus. But I do sort of like the animated, you know, smaller legs, larger torso kind of thing, trying to at least create the illusion that we're seeing something different. But it's an illusion that's not fooling this guy. All right, so now here's one I entitled Bigfoot in the Woods, which makes total sense because that's the only place you do find Bigfoot is in the woods. So let's take a look at this one. I dug these up like 2 weeks ago, so I can't remember what they are now. But you be the judge. Fact or fiction? Here we go. Well, check that. Oh, wait. What artist? I saw it. Wait, there it is. There she is. There she is. Did my con and made myself cough. I promise you, at some point, this will stop shaking. We're all getting motion sick. All right, there he is. Now, see, for a second there, it's not bad. Zooms in. He's a hairy critter. Throws his arm back to, you know, kind of clear the brush out of the way. And the guy goes after him because, you know, heck yeah, gonna get a good shot of Bigfoot. And he gets him walking away there. So your best shot is like right there. Let's go back and take a closer look. Right here. I love how these guys can't even remotely hold their camera steady. Where we go? Right there. That's not a bad shot there. Kind of like the arm flailing back there to kind of, push the brush aside. And then we get into here. It's not too bad right there. Although, as you can see, the guy has shorter, normal-sized arms and doesn't look like he's all that big. Looks kind of like just this guy's buddy in a suit is kind of what it looks like. But if you can get through the 5 minutes of blurry camera for the 3 seconds of clear shot of the thing, it's not bad. Some guy 209 says he is on his way to return his Halloween costume to the spirit store. Video is giving me vertigo. You can't see Ned Beatty fleeing in front of him yelling "squeal for me." Oh my gosh, talk about a horror film. Woof. Okay, now the second part looks like a dude in a suit. I agree, Phantom Harlock. Yeah, when are these people going to start using GoPros to catch Bigfoot? Exactly. Steve Larry says he's not having any of this. That's a suit. Hair doesn't look like that. I agree. Evil One, thanks for joining us. Enhance. Well, somebody buy these guys a gimbal. Looks like a dude in a hoodie. Paul Taylor. Now, Paul Taylor's a biologist, so let's see what he has to say. Proportions aren't bad, but you can't see much for very long. True. Ham's the beer refreshing. That's good. They used to have a bear, like this cartoon bear was like their mascot for Ham's beer. Okay, so Dumb Old Vic says, you know what, Aaron? I feed coyotes. Okay, that's dumb in itself. Okay, and they only let me see them when they're desperate for food, almost never. So are you saying that Bigfoot would never allow himself to be seen unless he was desperate for food? Is that the argument you're making? Because I would argue back, if that is the argument you're making, I would argue that we have plenty of footage of coyotes, whether you're feeding them or not. So if there was Bigfoot out there, I think we might have some actual decent video of him, but I could be wrong. He says, do you think Bigfoot has cloaking powers? Of course, he's making a Star Trek reference, and I think it may be true. Gordpox says, Gordox Pub says, didn't John Candy shoot him? I believe he did. I've actually seen coyotes in our neighborhood. Like, I was going to the airport at like 4 a.m. or something one time, and there was like a pack of 3 or 4 coyotes just going through our neighborhood, right through we have a little tiny park up here for the kids, and it just, it's like, great. Don't walk your dog at 4 a.m. Not that anyone would, but Green Laser, of course, saying coyote footage isn't blurry because they are not interdimensional beings. Of course. Is Bigfoot Romulan? That would explain the cloaking device. I like that 7-foot Bigfoot is always trying to get away from the 5'10" guy with a cell phone. Actually, that is true. All right. What do we got here? Oh, I've got hippie Bigfoot. I don't remember. Oh, this is good. And when I say this is good, I mean it's bad. Here we go. And let's see here. You're out in the woods filming because you think you heard something, and what do you wondering eyes should appear but a hippie Bigfoot? Okay, now why do I say he's a hippie Bigfoot? Let's take a closer look at this. Look at that, how clear that is. There's a better shot here. I'm going to find it. Yeah, it's like right. there. Is there? Oh, I think it gets better along here. There's a great shot that looks like. Okay, there. Look at that. That is the. Look at that. Isn't that the salt sucker from Star Trek? I mean, look. It's just like it looks like a hippie chick with long hair. The hair's part in the middle. You can see. Okay, there's the eyes, right? Mouth. Look at the hair comes down like this. Like she's at Woodstock or something. There's no nose though. So I don't know how this Bigfoot breathes, but that's your hippie Bigfoot. And I believe you'll find this around, this was taken around Woodstock, 1969, but I can't be certain of that. So there you go, hippie Bigfoot, believe it or not. Ooh, he even blinked. Look at that, blinks right there. I'm not sure what that is or what it's supposed to be, but it's not Bigfoot. It looks more like kind of a ghoul or something, like a Halloween mask with no nose. But the hair is just, it's hippie Bigfoot for you. There it is. Matt Nomadovin says, fake or not, it's creeping me out. Kelrage says, it's Groucho Marx. Evil One, it's the Blair Witch. Did the salt sucker have a mouth, though? I thought it, I'll have to go look. Yeah, it had a big, like, sucker mouth with, like, fangs in it or something like that. It looked a lot like that. So it may be, that may actually be, we found the salt sucker from Star Trek. Steve Laurie says, face mask and a ghillie suit. I think you're right again. John F76 says, a real Bigfoot would be a master of woodcraft. He would hear, smell a human from a far distance and easily hide. You'd never get close enough to film him. Okay. All right. We'll see. Now someone says Emperor Palpatine. Now that's a possibility right there. That's a possibility. Dumble Vic says, do you think Bigfoot has an old man that takes care of them and gets angry when they go out and are almost spotted? I think there's a movie in that. Blair Witch is the only movie I ever walked out of. I saw that movie long after it came out. I finally watched it and I was like, am I supposed to be scared? Although I will say the end where they go into the old house in the woods is kind of creepy. But yeah, it was not something that I would consider a great film. But anyway, enough about that. We're not talking about great films right now. We're talking about bad Bigfoot videos. And this one I've entitled Really Bad Bigfoot Video. So this must be really good. It's funny. As you look at this, you'll see that the footage is really super clear. For now, let's see. Look how clear that is. Sharp imagery. Looking at the trees. Oh, and there. Oh. 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 There's something in there. Now I give him credit. This is actually not quite as blurry, but if this is not a dude in a monkey suit, I don't know what is. Okay. I mean, look at that. Dude, that is one step away from a bad fur coat. That is horrible. So it's super clear until he comes out and faces you, and then it gets super blurry. Did you notice that? Look at how this is fairly sharp right here. It's not bad, That's pretty sharp. But then he comes out and starts waving his arms, and everything gets blurry. You can't see his face. That is terrible. Some guy 209 says looks legit. Citizen Ronan, of course, says clearly real. Monkey suit confirmed, says Angela Curry. There's no snow on him. Good point. says Evil One. No branches on the lower trees. Very strange. So Paul is looking second level here. The beam pad says that's Malin's. That's Malin leaving his house with Faye's coat on. Where was he shopping at? You might catch him leaving. Oh, now this is interesting. Jeff Potts, look at this. He says, have you stopped to consider that it's Bigfoot in a gorilla costume, to scare away the locals? I had not thought of that. That's actually a pretty good idea. What if Bigfoot was dressing up as a gorilla to scare people away or to just fake out videos? This mermaid on the shore video, by the way, was atrocious. Didn't he star with Bela Lugosi in The Gorilla? I think you might be onto something there. It's really got that suit. Okay, that was really bad Bigfoot. This one is just bad Bigfoot. Let's see what we've got here. This looks familiar. Looks like the same background. I don't think I did the same thing twice. Let's find out. So that was really bad Bigfoot. This is just bad Bigfoot. No, this is the same one, isn't it? Oh no, wait. It's more footage from the same, but it's different footage, I think. But it's the same Bigfoot. As you can clearly see, there he is, right? Camouflaged in the snow. He's yelling at his buddy right now. Dude, you're missing your cue. There. It's walking away. Don't even tell me that is not a guy in a suit. Look at how he's walking. That's just absurd. Swinging his arms like that, and what? That is a dude in a suit traipsing around in the snow. Yeah, so this is part 2 of the same video. Look at how baggy the legs, the pants on the suit are. I mean, it's like, this is another failing grade. I mean, come on. If you're gonna, it had to have been cold out there. Put some effort into the costume, man. That is terrible. That looks like a midget Bigfoot right there. Well, let's see. Evil One says, I take it back. It got worse. It's a 20s guy in a fur coat. Oh, my goodness. Surprisingly clear. Yeah, it is. And it really should be blurry because this is terrible. Yeah, there. Evil One said, how could it possibly get any worse? He says, I was wrong. It got worse. Jeff Potts now, of course, is defending his new theory. Dude, Amazon delivers everywhere nowadays. It would be so easy for Bigfoot to order that gorilla costume and have it delivered. You can't really argue with that, can you? Yeah, this is not great. I will say what you got this week though was a plethora of really bad videos. So it wasn't just, I didn't just give you 4 bad videos. I gave you like 8 bad videos and a couple of realistic ones. The saltwater crocodile and the giant squid I thought was kind of fun. Brian Norton, he's like, are you saying it's fake? Is that? I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think that's fake. And I think I'm going to go out on a farther limb and say I think that's like really bad fake. On this show, we at least would like to see some effort. So if you're a Bigfoot hoaxer out there and you want to do a video, do it with some effort, please, so that we can at least grade you on your effort instead of this stuff is just horrible. I mean, I'm not even going out in the snow to get cold if I can't come up with a costume that's better than that. So, Nomadman, he's taken a totally different angle on this. He said, it looks to me like you discovered 5 new subspecies tonight. It's very possible. It's very possible that baggy, snowy ape man is a thing. And they all they wear their fur like baggy clothes. anything's possible, I suppose. But Brian Norton says, I don't know what to believe anymore in this crazy world. Isn't the truth? We can't even trust in Bigfoot videos anymore. It's just Green Laser's got it. The Furus codicus. That's Latin for furry coat. Anyway, guys, that, believe it or not, 2.5 hours. I think I get an A for effort for coming in after a comic book show, a Comic-Con, and putting together a 2.5 hour show with some of the worst Bigfoot videos you're likely to ever see in your life. I think I deserve a pat on the back. So there it is. So I would encourage all of you, again, if we got some new people here that are just dropping in, because we don't usually do the show this late at night, please hit the like and subscribe, and know that this show generally is at 4 o'clock Pacific time every Sunday. Next week, I believe Kevin Grievous, writer, director, actor, will be joining me. And you might know him from Underworld movie series, which he co-created, I believe did the screenplay for, at least co-wrote the screenplay, and appeared as one of the bad werewolves in it. So he'll be joining me next week. And yeah, we got Graybeards coming up this week. Oh, Graybeards on Wednesday, 1 o'clock Pacific time. Gary Martin will be I believe it's Gary, he's picking the topics that you get to choose from. And we'll also be doing an art auction right after the draw stream. So save your pennies for that and get prepared for some good action there. Tomorrow is Comicsgate Kings. I'll probably be on because I'm almost always on there. But I got to get some Kit Carter artwork done so I can get my trailer finished. So we'll see how it plays out. And of course, Professionals Tuesday night, 4 o'clock Pacific time, 7 o'clock Eastern. There you go. The Beam Pad says, Aaron, found your Herculoids cover. Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much. I had great fun working on that. I'm a big Herculoids fan. Next year, Aaron, I will be at Rose City Comic Con, Angela, and I'll bring you chocolate unless you come here. I just got invited to the Washington State Summer Con for next year, so maybe I'll go and do that. Evil One for $2. Thank you so much. He says, yoga and golfer's elbow has been keeping me from you. Oh, well, I think yoga is probably a good thing. Golfer's elbow, not so much. Anyway, gang, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. It was a late Sunday night, but we had fun, had good turnout, good times had by all. So you guys stay safe, and we'll see you soon right here on Aaron Live. Good night, everybody, and thank you for coming.